Hi, welcome to Salt and Burn This. I'm Sammy.
And I'm Valerie.
And this is our Supernatural Rewatch podcast.
Each week, we're going to break down an episode in order with lots of details, so nothing's left out.
And we throw in some personal nuggets and stories and research to mix it up just a little bit.
Because not only are we fans of the show, but like Sam and Dean, we've also had our fill of road trips.
Yeah, but for theater, not for hunting ghosts and demons.
And not in a super sexy muscle car.
Anyway, shall we?
We shall.
Yes, this was one of the Stitch Fix successes that I had. One of the very few.
Nice. I was wearing one of the shirts I got at the City Opera thrift shop.
Oh, yeah.
I wore that the other day as a second performance shirt, and I got a lot of compliments on it. So I was like, yeah, so I got this at the thrift shop. And then I popped a button off of it, so it made for an even better top.
Funny.
Oh my gosh. Let's get through this month, Sammy. We're almost through the month.
For me, it's like 2 months. It's almost 2 months.
I love the arts. I love my job. So I still haven't dropped off the boulder, which I find hysterical that I have a boulder in my car.
Is it a real boulder or is it a fake boulder?
It's a fake boulder, but it's a substantial fake boulder. It's a movie boulder, so it's not just like, paper mache.
Yeah.
But the fact that I have a boulder in my car, I feel very much like, I carried a watermelon. I'm like, why am I doing this? So when we're done here, I'm hoping I can drop that off the studio and not have to deal with boulders in my life ever again. Until the
at
close
least
of
physical
the show
ones.
Where I have to, right, exactly.
Metaphorically can't promise
boulders,
anything.
Yeah, no, that's my life. That is my life.
So there was something, there were a couple things that I was gonna go back and review after listening to our episode while editing it.
Yeah.
Which was, I think you thought that Madison was their first werewolf case.
Oh,
and I was gonna look that up, but I don't think it was. I think I remember them talking about the black dog. They're like, "Oh, this is probably a werewolf," type of thing. And I'm not sure if that was that episode, but I remember them having a conversation of, "This sounds like a werewolf."
Gotcha.
They've
experienced it before. Okay.
But I also still stand by my man. That seems like there's an awful lot of first time instances like this episode.
Yes, I agree with you there. Of why didn't they know about this before?
Yeah, why are they always being like, this is a new thing, we have to do research, how do we kill this thing? Well, we thought it was this one thing, but looks like it's something else.
Well, yeah, like with the ghost though, with that last ghost, he defied the logic of ghosts, but he was still vanquished, so to speak. I know. The way ghosts are vanquished, which is, salt and burn and burn the last of their remnants. Yeah. But in their now, what, like 26 years of hunting? Yeah. This has never happened to them before, or they didn't even look at Dad's journal. They haven't in a while. But why would they when they have a Bobby? They've got Bobby now.
They got Bobby, who is a living journal.
They have Bobby. Yeah.
Season 4, episode 14, Sex and Violence. Sam and Dean find 3 small-town men have beaten their wives to death. Behind the murders is a siren who puts the brothers under her spell. Written by Catherine Humphreys and directed by Charles Beeson.
Names aren't aren't scratching it for me. I'm not remembering these names. I'm not keeping track of writers and directors.
Yeah, Charles Beeson has directed quite a few so far. Catherine Humphris wrote something recently. Let me look. Charles Beeson directed I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh, okay.
This episode, not the movie.
Right, I figured. Well, sex and violence. This definitely is an episode with sex and violence. Mm-hmm. But apparently the title is based off a Dawson's Creek episode.
Oh, really?
And it was an episode that Jensen starred in. So I think that's what the call out is Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, it has to be.
I don't think any of this happened in Dawson's Creek on any episode of Dawson's Creek, because Jesus, the violence in this episode.
All right. So just a quick recap. It's all about Sami heading down a dangerous road and him and Ruby and their secret avenging or secret mission, and Dean's reactions, secrets. That's it. End of recap. Then we get to the now. There's a lady in the kitchen tenderizing some steak. Her husband comes home late. There's some tension between the two. You know, she's making dinner, talking about plans, and everything she says is like a trigger for this guy.
It's wrong. Yeah, whatever she says is you did something wrong.
Yeah, and she's apologizing to keep the peace. She's just like, okay, fine. You know, we'll eat something different, or we don't have to go. I just
don't have to make the plans. Yeah, let's not do this thing. The guy's so mad he like slams the refrigerator twice. Like, I'm like, okay, toddler.
Yeah, he is just straight up being a douche. And she calls him out on his attitude kindly. You know, she's just like, it seems like all you want to do is like pick a fight with anything that I'm saying. Yeah. And with that, he smashes her head in with the meat tenderizer from the kitchen.
From the kitchen. Yeah. Blood splatter across their wedding pictures, across their, and doesn't just hit her once. She screams, and he proceeds to continue to bludgeon her to death. And we hear it. We hear the bone crunching. We hear the body pounding, the meat pounding.
Pretty violent, if you ask me.
They even did it with like shadow violence. You know, they did like the whole projection of just their shadows. And I was like, you already showed us the blood. Why jump to shadow splatters, you know? But with that's what they like to do. Yeah. Title splash.
Title splash. Okay. So our map quest is Bedford, Iowa. We're back in Iowa. I think we were just in Iowa a couple episodes ago.
Yep.
I've not been there.
Nope. Not on purpose. Not that I can say I have. The only time like I remember going through Iowa is I had an opportunity to see Angie, to stop and see Angie when she was still living in Iowa. So every time I think of Iowa, it was like this one time I was driving through and I missed my opportunity to stop and see her. Oh. So that's what every time they drive to Iowa, I'm like, oh, they should go see Angie. But, you know.
She's in Minnesota now or wherever. Fun guest star moment. I only kind of recognized one. Jim Perrick, who plays Nick Monroe. He's from True Blood. That's the thing that I recognized him from, which I watched early on, and then I lost interest in it. I
didn't watch it at all, so I was like, I don't know who he is.
I knew he looked very familiar, and it wasn't until I looked at his IMDb list I was like, oh yeah, that guy.
He does have one of those faces though that he could be, you know, a guest star face. A guest star on anything.
Nice and pouty. I don't know. There's something about his face I liked.
I like your face. Something about your face. So they're in another, Sam and Dean are in a roadside motel. Dean wakes up. Sam's already awake and in the bathroom talking to somebody. But Dean doesn't let Sam know that he was awake. So when Sam comes out of the bathroom after the phone call, Dean pretends like he was just waking up. So
you're like, oh man, you caught me asleep. Stretch. Boy, what time is it? I rub.
Rub the. I was just getting ready to do that. And in turn, Sam lies about the phone call. So right off the bat, they're both lying to each other.
Yep.
Not a lot of trust happening. This motel is kind of cute and kitschy, nothing totally remarkable about it. teal blue wallpaper, which is kind of cheery considering that they're getting ready to have an argument.
Yeah. So Sam reveals a new job for them, which is this crime scene that we just saw. But not only him, there were also 2 other guys that did the same thing. Also ganked their wives, I think, was the...
Yes, ganked. In the vernacular of the hunters. Dean's like, all right, fine, we'll go.
Let's go.
And so off they go to Iowa. Sam and Dean, we now see them in prison with the guy that we saw, who killed his wife. They are now acting as public defenders, talking to this guy who killed his wife. And it's basically, why'd you do it? And he's like, I don't know. She made plans. She made dinner plans without my permission. I loved her and I killed her. Yeah. And were you possessed? No, I knew what I was doing while I was doing it. I was in control. I just killed her.
Yeah. It should be noted he's pleading guilty. He's admitting guilt. He's like fessing up. And like at the end, by the end of the scene, he's even like, if the judge doesn't give me the death penalty, then I'm just going to
kill myself.
Yeah.
Basically.
He's pretty wrecked with guilt. Not that I feel that bad for him, but I mean, I guess a little bit. It wasn't necessarily his fault, but
No, but there's always some sort of causality, which is, and Dean found it, and it was in his credit card receipts that he had one of those like secret, credit card charges that doesn't say strip club, but it definitely is, some sort of adult, adult entertainment club for like $9,000. So Dean, it kind of shows that Dean's getting better at his hacking skills if he was able to procure this guy's credit card records.
How did he find this?
I was kind of like, all right, stepping up. Well, all the more reason to not have secret spending on your credit cards if anybody can gain access to them and use it against you. And so Dean basically walks this guy through his life, which is, you've been paying a stripper. You didn't want the wife to find out about it. She probably did, so you killed her.
Yeah.
So this guy had an affair with...
That's kind of the true story, except that, the wife never knew, had no idea.
Right.
And it really wasn't about the money or the sex. He was just so infatuated with Jasmine.
This one stripper. Yeah.
Yes.
And he didn't seek her out. She came to him. Yeah. And
it's suddenly, like, I don't really go to strip clubs, but she was at this bachelor party, and then it just like it happened. And she was the one who convinced me I needed to permanently get rid of my wife so that her and I could be together forever. Yeah. And then I did it. And now I have no idea where she is or who she is.
Yeah, like what her last name is. Yeah, she never showed up after I did this. Yeah. And she was perfect. She was everything I wanted. Everything. So
I just want to say I really, really liked the way they shot him. These kind of like close-ups, they're really fragmented. To me, it really gave a feeling of pure obsession. Like you felt like this guy was just consumed with obsession over this woman.
Yeah. Interesting. You don't normally talk about camera angles. Thank you.
I think them, and I usually, it's just like, oh, that was a nice shot, but
no, but you're right, though. That was,
but it was
very
because
subtle.
It was different than what I usually see in Supernatural. But yeah, I like it when a camera can make me feel something.
Yeah, or trigger something to make you think about something.
Right. Yeah. All right. So next, cue the most unprofessional doctor ever. Ever. Yes. Dr. I mean, I loved her.
Roberts. Yeah.
I loved her, but I was just like, Jesus Christ.
Again, with the free flowing of information of patients, personal
like beyond the pale.
Yes.
Dr. Kara Roberts, who I called Hot Doc throughout the rest of my notes.
Hot Doc. Well, because she was gorgeous.
She was very gorgeous and
very likable, because the first thing we see is her like having a hangover. She's like in the office, bent over her desk, like
unprofessional moment number one, coming into work as a doctor with a huge hangover,
like shaking aspirin out and just like, oh, yeah, and then admitting that it wasn't a rough night. It was a great night.
Yeah,
rough morning.
Yeah, yeah. This doctor is small town multitasking is what she calls it. She's like the ER doctor. She's I guess like coroner. The CSI person, coroner, works with the sheriff. She's just like all of the things. So she has the records of the autopsies, which Sam is like, oh, can I see them? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, here, you're an FBI agent. Which by the way, he says his name is Agent Styles.
Yes.
I think. So Agent Styles, here's who Agent Styles is, because I had to do a bit of a dig for that.
I did too, but go ahead.
Okay, I have it's Agent Todd Styles from Route 66, which was a TV show back in the 60s about two friends who travel cross country in a convertible sports car.
Yes.
Later on,
they had a Corvette.
They had a Corvette? Okay.
Yeah.
So, and Dean later on is Murdoch, Agent Buzz Murdoch.
Yes, so Styles and Murdoch were the characters of that show. That is also what I found. I have not seen the show or heard of it.
That was out of my...
But I was like, wow, that's this show. Just add in some ghosts and creepy things. And
right, yeah, and they're brothers and not friends. And yeah. So far, they've been public defenders in suits, and now they're FBI agents with badges, which luckily, Hot Doc is like, can I see that badge again? She does take at least 1 second to question Sam's, veracity.
Yes.
So I'll give her that. Yes.
I did actually look up the rules, at least of Iowa, of like who has access to these records or how... what's the rules of gaining access to these? Because it's like, surely she can't just like hand them out. But I know that maybe in a criminal investigation or dead people is maybe different than live people. I don't know if the HIPAA laws or whatever it's called apply. But the cause and manner of death is a matter of public record and can be released unless release of such information will hinder or harm an ongoing criminal investigation, which this would be an ongoing criminal investigation.
Right.
The trial has not happened yet, I am assuming, since there were lawyers talking to that guy.
Right.
The remainder of the information contained within an autopsy report, or even I would guess like these blood samples that she's talking about in a minute, is confidential and treated as medical record. So that I think would fall under doctor-patient confidentiality, which she completely ignores.
And blurts out basically that, yes, she did do autopsies and blood work on these, not only on the victims, but on the living men. The women, their cause of death was pretty obvious, that they were bludgeoned to death or murdered. Yeah. But the men all had this really high level of, oxytocin? Oxytocin in their blood, and Sam's like, what's that? And she says it's a like a hormone chemical level that's found naturally in the body when you like go through childbirth or when you're nursing or when you're having sex. It's the love hormone. But they had extremely high levels of it in their blood.
Yeah. It should be said, she is giving this information all while laying it on real thick with Sam.
Oh my gosh, she actually ended the word love hormone, and then it's like eye contact, literally like eyes cut to Sam, and I was like, really? My God.
She is not leaving any room for doubt here that
there's no subtlety.
She wants him.
Yeah,
good for her. Dean walks in. She completely gives him a cold shoulder. She has zero interest in Dean.
Yeah, he's
just
like,
shakes his hand.
Yeah,
she's like, hi, straight back to Sam, and continues her conversation with him. Dean is very upset by this.
He is put out.
Yes.
He is put out.
And it's nice to see Sam lean into his sex appeal a little bit, or get the woman for once, or have somebody interested in him. Because it's always like, okay, these are both very attractive men equally. Yep. Why is why is Dean always the one?
Yeah. What's funny though, is that his reaction to her, like when he first is like, hey, just call me Dean. The second she says, yeah, I'm Dr. Roberts, and doesn't play the game, he turns into like the petulant little boy. Yes, and a part of me is like, why does anybody like you if that's your reaction to, just
and even after they leave the doctor's office, he's like, you totally C-blocked me. It's like...
If actually he didn't. She just
really, you can't just let Sam have one.
Yeah, and they didn't have to do the rock paper scissors for it either. It wasn't like it was gonna be. It was she chose Sam.
Yep.
So they leave the. I wanted to point out there's some very obvious cinematography in this, and I kind of got mad about it. Every shot that this doctor was in, the hot doc was in, where those purple flowers are in her shot. I'm like, I get it. These are going to be important. Yeah. Like every shot. And it wasn't just like subtle flowers. It was like, boom, next to her head, or, it's like, I get it. And
even Dean noted them. He eyeballed them. Like he made it like, oh, flowers. Huh. Okay. Something that Dean would never notice. He would never notice a vase of flowers in somebody's office. He would notice a jar of candy. Like that's the thing that he would notice. You know what I mean?
Right. Or but dead flowers, because that's a giveaway.
Yeah, like that one, the one chick. That's something I have notes on too by the end of this. Okay, so they leave the hospital. All these men fessed up like after they spoke to them. But all of them obviously had a different girl. Like they were all described differently, except in personality or in that they were everything that the guy ever wanted and were completely devoted to the man. So what's going on? Is this a love spell?
Right. So these guys all at the same strip club are finding strippers. They're different strippers, but they all have the same end result.
Yes.
So what the heck?
Yeah. So but who cares what it is, because it's a case involving strippers. Finally,
actual strippers for Dean. So I just want to say, I think it's funny that they didn't let Dean say cock block, but yet they'll show these women getting their brains beaten in with a meat tenderizer. I was like, really? And I don't blame Supernatural for that. I blame the censors for that.
That's the network. That's standards and practices. I'm also very curious as to, what makes something allowable versus not allowable.
Yeah, that to me just hit, it landed wrong. To hear Dean say C blocked, it's like, really? Is the word cock not, the terminology cock block is not, whatever. That one it threw me out. It took me out of the episode, and it just made me mad. Yes, but let's have women be tortured to death, but let's not say the word cock on TV. Yeah.
Sometimes I think it's also, now I don't know for sure, and I think each network is different, and TV is probably different than movies, but I always heard that a PG-13 movie can allow like one fuck in it, like the word fuck, but anything beyond that, and like two fucks, then it's a rated R.
Right.
Or it's like you have to play, like you have to level it out. It's like, okay, you can have this one, really bad fun swear word, but then you gotta like pull back on some other stuff.
And there's no nudity involved.
Yeah. So I wonder if maybe sometimes they have to play that game, but I don't have the answer to that.
I don't know. So off Dean and Sam go to this strip club because Dean's very excited to go.
Yes, it's called the Honey Wagon.
Which is disgusting. Do you know what that is?
Oh, God, I don't want to know. Is it a vagina?
It's not. It's an outdoor toilet. A Honey Wagon is a it's a porta potty. It's like
that's disgusting.
A truck that's used to haul human excrement is literally the definition of a Honey Wagon. It's a porta potty. So this strip bar is called the porta potty.
Oh, my God.
That's what a Honey Wagon is. So you go on a film set, they'll talk about porta potties, but in in the lingo, it's the honey wagons go over
the
there.
Honey wagon. Oh my God. I have never heard that before. Why? Who thought that was a good idea? Maybe they really think that strip clubs are trash. Maybe they're.
I don't know. I was like, ooh, that's.
Oh, that's weird. I don't enjoy that at all. That's not a fun. That's not a fun innuendo to me. I don't know.
Sorry. So, enter the honey wagon.
Yeah. Oh God. It just makes me sad. I thought it was such a cute little stripper club name.
Sorry to burst your bubble, but really I will say they had some really hot women in this bar. Mm-hmm. Their strippers were gorgeous.
Yeah, for small town Iowa.
Yeah. Yeah, they were not messing around with casting there. They did a good job. So Dean is happy to be questioning the strip club owner about Jasmine. And is it Jasmine or Ariel? Oh, he's asking about all three: Aurora, Ariel, or Jasmine. So all Disney princesses are strippers.
It took me an embarrassingly long time to realize that those were all Disney princess names. It wasn't until the fourth one shows up, Belle. No, when Belle, the one we see, and he says Belle, and then it was just like, oh my fucking God. And that was in my second watch through. The first one totally just
went
like
whoosh,
right by. I was just like, all right, those are.
For me, as soon as he said Aurora, because it didn't hit me with Jasmine, but it did hit me as soon as he said Aurora, and I was like, oh, well, Sleeping Beauty.
And you know what's funny is I had just watched a little bit of Maleficent 2 not too long ago, and it still didn't click.
Very subtle supernatural. So Dean is asking about these strippers. The club owner is just like, I got nothing. I don't pay attention to the women. Yeah. They're independent contractors. He does not care.
He's just, as long as he gets his money, nothing else is his problem. And
I have to admit, Dean was showing, I don't want to say restraint, but he was talking face to face to this guy while there was women stripping next to him. And only every once in a while did he look at the stripper. He was very focused on finding answers, because when he sees Sam across the club, he goes directly to Sam with like, I'm not finding any information.
Yeah, like, I actually kind of thought that he didn't look that excited to be there. Yeah. You know, like even when he did steal a glance at a chick on stage, you know, he still had like kind of grumpy face on it, you know?
Yeah, he was like, he was on the job. He was on the clock.
Yeah.
I was really impressed by that.
that he that he did his job. You're impressed. He did the bare minimum.
By not ogling the women. But it was, I mean, because they could have filmed it differently. They could have filmed him just, you know,
dog, like,
horn dogging his way. And he didn't. He was like, I'm here to, you know, catch this killer.
Right. So Sammy had talked to Bobby, and they finally got a lead of a siren.
Yeah.
Of Greek legend, of Greek myth. But guess what? They're not actually myths. They're real.
Did you look up what a siren is?
Well, you know what? He wasn't that wrong. You know, when he says they're beautiful women who prey on men with their siren song. Back in the day when they lived on islands, they would lure soldiers to their deaths, to their island. And that's more or less correct.
Yep.
From what my brief, like, jaunt into research. Yes. Their little supernatural spin is they can read minds and cloak themselves in your ideal woman. They are solitary. And, you know, the siren song is more of a metaphor. And in modern times, we're better to set up, you know, a spot to lure men than a strip club rather than a Mediterranean island.
Yeah. When the way Dean described it, he described it like, you know, where else to find morons to, you know, to entrap, you know, except at a strip club. And I was like, ooh, casting call. Like, can you imagine reading your like agents, like, I got something for you. Yeah. Morons to be in a strip club. You know, I thought I'd send in your headshot.
Yeah. He also is a little bit smart ass when Sam says something about the siren song, and he lists a couple like, oh, what are possible stripper songs? Welcome to the Jungle and Cherry Pie.
Cherry Pie.
I just want to earmark that for later. I'm not sure how much later, but
okay.
It's a fun little
A little callback.
Something that will get called back. But anyway.
Okay. So in the club, there's like a young, desperate guy sitting in a booth all by himself, like button-up shirt, very, I'm not gonna say geeky because he wasn't geeky, but just very, mama's boy looking, guy. And Belle, as we learn her name is, walks up and is like, "Oh, I thought you'd never come. Like, so glad you're here. Thought you'd never come. Let's split this pop stand." So young guy and Belle.
Pop stand?
Let's blow this pop stand. You don't
Isn't
know
it
that?
popsicle stand?
Did I?
I don't know if I've always let's blow this popsicle joint or stand or whatever. I don't know if I've ever heard pop stand.
Maybe I did it wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have said it at all because I got the idiom wrong. Let's blow this pop stand.
Maybe it's a regional thing.
Popsicle stand. No, because I don't say pop instead of soda. And all right, feel free to edit that out. I feel like
I'm not editing that out. Are you kidding me?
That's gold. All right. Let's blow this popsicle stand, said no one ever. So Belle and, desperate guy leave. Now, I have a little bone to pick here because they leave the club. Mm-hmm. They step outside. They're like, ooh, chilly type of thing. And then off they go up the street. This was the weirdest camera angles. I was just like, why? Because it took me out of it. Because they step out of the club and it's this like overhead crane shot of them. Mm. And it looks like Belle actually looks up at the camera. She may not have, but I think she was looking at the sky like, is it going to rain type of thing? Yeah. And then they turn the corner and they walk down the street. I was like, why? It was just weird photography and it took me out of the moment of watching a show. Because I was so distracted by the extreme camera angle. I don't even remember that scene at all. I think I was like looking down and like taking notes, but that was like I remember him leaving or like oh, let's go, and then now they're at his house. Right. They walk off arm in arm doing a little kissy kiss, like they've been, dating for a while type of thing.
Yeah. They arrive home. He checks on his mother, his sick mother, who he takes care of there. And she is very supportive of that. She's like, "You are so sweet. You are so generous. Like, I'm so in awe that you take care of your mother." And then they get it on.
She proceeds to drop her clothing. Yep. Very sexy.
And then we see that a siren's true form is not so cute.
Not so cute. This is terrible. So I was a little skeeved out by even before they show us what a siren actually looks like, the transformation. Just her having sex with him on the couch with his mom in the other room. It was just weird to me because it was just a weird setup. And I was just like, it wasn't like sexy time. Okay. I was like, ugh, watching these two particular people have sex. And thankfully the camera cuts away from his pleasure to like a little show around the room, the little fireplace, and then up on the mantle, there's like a statue of Jesus with the burning heart. And a disapproving picture of his mother, who clearly looks like the photo is watching them have sex. But then there's like a mirror or a reflection over the mantle, and we see the siren's true form. And the siren is watching herself, by the way, have sex in this moment, and it's disgusting. She is bald, pale, bony. It looks like they removed the mouth part of her, like they removed her jaw and then just like took skin and stretched it over where the mouth was.
Yeah. She kind of looks like a cross between an orc from Lord of the Rings and Voldemort.
Like it was stretched until it broke type of like the skin just like she opened her mouth so wide that it stretched and broke. Yeah. She had a huge sternal notch. I mean, collarbone. It was just revolting. I will just say she better have a beautiful voice because that's
a nice juxtaposition though, like from like these beautiful stripper women that we've kept hearing about and saw. Belle was a very beautiful woman to like so after sexy time, she's still like coddling him and being like, "Oh, you're so wonderful with your mother, it's so great." But she's taking up all of your time, and you could have all of that time with me, and I think that you should get rid of her.
Yeah. Post-coital. Yeah, let's do it.
He's like, okay.
Yeah, no second thoughts.
No
second thoughts. He's like, and she doesn't just say you should, take care of it. She's like, you should go bash her brains in.
Yeah.
She gives him the actual way to kill his mother.
Very specific instructions. Yep. And yeah, he takes a fire poker, goes into the room. You hear all the bashing, and Belle puts her dress back on and casually walks out the door.
And so those shots I loved. I thought those were fantastic. Yeah. Of her, A, her taking off her clothes, and then B, her stepping back into her clothes and walking off. Yeah. With, my work here is done. Yep. Please. I thought those were great shots. I could have done without the mom screaming and the muffled sounds of her getting her brains bashed in with a poker. I could have done without that, but
that wouldn't have been as effective, I think, if we just heard nothing.
Well, right. It's like, we know he's going to kill her. We know how he's going to kill her. But we got the bone crunching and the metal ringing and mom screaming. And so it was terrible.
Sex and violence.
Yep. I even wrote down, I said, I know this is supernatural, but why? We're done. So back at the motel, Dean is studying, but kind of staring, not really studying. He's like distracted because Sam has left his cell phone on the table. And Sam's not there. Dean can't help himself.
Yeah, he gives into temptation and
picks up the crackberry and goes through Sam's phone. And he notices Bobby's number, he sees his own number, and then there's like a mystery number in between. And so he calls the mystery number.
And it's Ruby. Yep. Oh, no.
Yep. So quick note about the motel that they're in right now, because I think they're in a different motel than they were before. Because this is like red walls, lions on the wall.
Yes, because this is when they, like, wherever they are before, they're like, let's go to Iowa. So now this is the one in Iowa.
So the name of this motel is the Lion's Pride Motel. Plenty of lions on the walls.
So many lions.
And even the room divider is a lion-y type of thing. I always thought of these lions as like the Hofbrau lions,
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, it doesn't matter. Who cares about the lions? Anyway.
There's a lot of them. There are so many lions.
So Dean hangs up the phone and Bobby calls. Right?
Yeah, Sam comes in and he's just like, hey, Siren got another one. And the phone rings. Dean is like, oh yeah, you left your phone here. And you see a little bit of fear in Sam's eyes, like,
I left my fucking phone here. Yeah.
I hope nothing happened while I was gone, And yeah, it's Bobby, and he has news. He was like, okay, I think I found out how to kill it with this like weird Greek poem, but you basically have to take a bronze dagger and cover it in the blood of one of its victims, because what the siren song, quote unquote, is really more like a toxin, like something that has to be
like a venom or something.
Yeah, that has to be that the blood has to be infected by it or like get into the bloodstream.
Supernatural STD, as Dean puts it. Like Dean would know.
Yes, and a siren apparently is like a snake in that, while they are venomous, they cannot handle their own. If they venom. Get infected with it, then it's like dead. Yep. However, all the victims that are around, that has like excreted from their blood sister, it's like the spell is over. There's nothing left for them to collect. So they need like blood from somewhere. And then Sam is like, I have an idea. There is blood in a stable environment in a lab with a very hot doctor. So
I'll be right back.
Yes.
So Dean mentioned Manchurian Candidate, because that's how he described the victims of the siren, is that they go all Manchurian Candidate. And again, that is way before my time, it's way before our time, but it's still used these days, that terminology of the Manchurian Candidate. Which is basically a movie where a politician's son was brainwashed to basically kill the politician. So that's the Manchurian Candidate, is the person who was like turned into a sleeper cell essentially to kill his father.
I've heard of that movie before, and I've seen TV shows and stuff use that you know, as I guess a copycat of that movie.
Yep.
But I didn't know the Manchurian Candidate was the term for it.
So Bobby says, be careful. They're tricky bitches and they'll wrap you up. They'll wrap you up and tie you up, and not in a physical way.
So now we're back at Hot Doctor. As they're asking for the oxytocin blood, and she's like totally making eyes. They're interrupted. I'm sorry.
No, Dean is like overly annoyed. He's like he's not over it at all. He is overly annoyed at the flirty McFlirties.
Yes, that he is not receiving.
He's not getting. Yes. But as you said, they are interrupted.
Yes, by another FBI agent. Oh no.
Oh no. Agent Nick Monroe.
Yes.
Calls their bluff, basically.
Yeah, he's just like, what are you doing here? I was assigned this case from Omaha. But luckily, DC trumps Omaha because they're from DC. And they give us like, hey, don't ask us. Ask, the boss. Ask the boss guy. So then Nick Monroe takes the card, calls the number, and then Bobby's on the other end. Yeah. And this is Supernatural first, right? This is the first time that
we've seen
showcase this setup. Yeah.
Yep.
So Bobby is I couldn't think of the word, like central headquarters or
he's like the main switchboard for like federal
all of
marshals,
these things.
FBI, CDC, police, health department. He has all these phone lines run into his house, and each phone line is labeled. It's a different phone, it's a different phone line, and they're all labeled so that whenever those phones ring, he knows that it's the boys or a hunter
what
calling
script
meeting.
He has to, or what party has to play.
Yes. Which I love the fact that he does this while wearing a Kiss the Cook apron and frying like something.
Making bacon, yeah.
So he gives Agent Nick Monroe, the story of, are you calling me a liar? These are my boys and they're there to, investigate, and DC trumps, Iowa, so go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Basically. Hangs up the phone, calls the boys idiots, and proceeds to finish cooking whatever he was cooking. So
this is a pretty genius system they have, I think.
Totally. You just got to remember to hand out the right card because,
and you got to hope Bobby's home also, like if he's not home.
I also like that the card that Sam handed Nick with all that information on it was like the most generic of cards. It basically just said like, call the home office. Here's the number.
FBI.
It had nothing. There's no official insignia on it. Nothing. FBI. So crisis averted. Nick has been, kicked off their scent, so to speak.
Kind of, yeah. And he goes from being like that usual aggressive, like possessive, this is my case kind of cop to like, all right, well, let's join forces. Let me tell you what I found. Yeah. It's strippers, all from the same club. Can you believe it?
Yeah. And then Dean is like, well, thanks, but no thanks. We're lone wolves. We work alone. And Sam's like, whoa. This is an opportunity for me to go find the blood. So Dean, you take Nick here and go scope out the club for strippers. And he basically has to like almost force Dean to go.
Yeah, it's just like, you got to go do this. You got to go do it for the girls. And Dean says, Sam, fine, for the girls.
He's like, oh, yeah. So Dean and Nick head off to go to the strip club, but not before Nick, like, notes that, Dean's driving his own car. Like, the Bureau lets him drive this super swank 67 Impala that Nick happens to know everything about. Mm-hmm. What size engine.
Fellow gearhead or motorhead. Or
totally. Sam tries to get the blood samples that the doctor was talking about, but mysteriously the blood samples are gone.
Yeah. It doesn't take much convincing. She's just like, why should I give them to you? And he's like, because I need more tests. And she's like, but I'm a doctor. I give more tests. And he's like, yeah, but I have a guy. Okay. Yeah. That's it. That's all she needs.
So back at the honey wagon, Dean and Nick are tossing back shots, which is nice to know that the FBI are doing shots on the clock, but they're also just talking about music, and they're talking about
they're playing like music trivia, like name all the facts about this song. And Dean is like grooving with this guy. He's like, yeah, you're pretty cool. All right, let's find it.
Yeah, for a Fed, you're not a dick. And Nick's like, but aren't we both Feds? And it's like Dean almost stepped in it, you know. He's like,
Yeah.
well, you know, we're both cool. We're both
not like
dicks.
us, though, you know.
Yeah.
And then Nick pulls out, it's like, oh, so I went to the crime scene and I found these flower petals that were also in the other several crime scenes. What do you think that's about? Yeah, that no one mentioned. Could be like a serial killer calling card, maybe, but I don't know. What do you think? And guess what? Those flower petals look exactly like the flowers that the camera loved to
beat us over the head with.
Yes.
What do you know?
Mm-hmm.
I do like, though, there was a moment where I think Nick said something about, this is going to sound crazy. And Dean is like, you know, came to the right place for crazy. It's like in any episode, when anytime somebody says this is going to sound crazy, both Sam and Dean are like, bring on the crazy talk.
Yeah, we got this. Hold my beer.
We got this. Yes, exactly. And I love that because I feel like it's a call out to us who are watching because we're like, we know too. Yeah. We know crazy too.
So yeah, it's like, oh, I think I know what those are. And then we cut back to, you know, Sam and Hot Dog reviewing her security tapes, which have most likely been tampered with because there's no evidence of anyone going into her lab and taking them. Yeah. And he's just like, well, who has access? And she's like, I don't know, everybody. I don't lock it.
I don't lock my doors. Yeah, the worst medical examiner.
Oh my
ever.
God. And then she's talking about the suspects and how she was interviewing them, which I was like, why are you interviewing suspects? That doesn't
I guess that's another one of her jobs, I guess.
I guess. I know the show CSI always had them like interviewing the perps, which they would never in real life do.
Right.
But anyway, that's a different thing.
Collect the cigarette butts. Yeah.
Yes.
And so, but in there talking about, you know, what would make somebody do this, she actually says, well, haven't you ever been in love with somebody, but also wanted to bash their brains in at the same time? Mm-hmm. You know, like, and he's like, well, that's a little telling. And I mean, she's kind of right, though, you know, because when are you in a relationship where you never want to just like slam the door in someone's face and walk away? Not end the relationship, but end the moment, end the day, end whatever's happening and just walk away.
Yeah.
And she ends up talking about a past relationship she had because Sam says, well, sounds like you're speaking from experience. And she's like, well, yeah, I was married to Carl, I think his name was. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I'm married to Carl. You know, this is just not what I wanted. The relationship ended, you know.
Yes,
so
she's revealing a lot about her past relationship, which she kind of did in their first meetup. You know, she was like, you know, oh, love that makes you go get a tattoo of their name, and then later you feel the pain of its removal, which is also like, and also something, you know, what you talking about? Also, this is all going on right after she pulls out a bottle of scotch and a couple of rocks glasses.
Right. She keeps in the office.
That she just keeps in the office. A doctor drinking at work.
2 healthy pours. One for her, one for Sam. And I was watching. I was like, is Sam gonna drink? Is she gonna drink? And I was like watching for what's gonna happen if they drink? Uh-huh. And they both drink and nothing happens because they're just sipping on whatever she's got. And she leans way into the flirt and is like, I just believe in live life, no regrets, you know, live, love, do whatever, no regrets, have fun. Yes.
And also, I've been thinking about you all night. I want to smooch your lips. I want to, I mean, way sexier than how I'm saying it right now. But
but it was pretty cringy, though. I mean, it was pretty cringy the way she did it. She's like, I was thinking about you. Well, parts of you. And it's like, Jesus, you know, but Sam doesn't pull back. You know?
Yeah, he even ignores a phone call for her. I think he's just like, I am totally going to get laid right now. Yep. I am not taking this phone call.
Ignores it, leans into it. The music changes, gets a little dark. And then they both tear each other's clothes off and sexy time, which I have to admit, it was kind of sexy time.
Yeah. Sammy has a type. Like, it's all been like very dark brunette women. And he's also got a move. He likes to like lift him up and like slam him into things or onto him himself.
excuse me, I have to slam you into this thing.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And part of me was hoping, I was like, oh, I hope it's after hours, because they were all up against the blinds of the office, which were wide open.
Yep.
Lights are on.
And she never locks the door anyway, so anyone
Right.
could just like walk in, see them. They've been drinking. Everyone's drinking on the job here. What the hell is going on?
What the hell?
But anyway, good for them.
Yes.
They did.
Yay, Sammy. So back at the motel. Dean, Sam's at the motel. Dean is calling Sam from the car saying, hey, we discovered this thing. And it's those purple flowers, and Dr. Lady has purple flowers. Therefore, Dr. Lady is the siren.
Yes.
And
he's also like, he immediately goes on the defensive here. You know, it's like, why are you not answering your phone? Why are you on this first name basis with this hot doctor? Did you sleep with her? How dare you? Because she's got hyacinths, which are from the Mediterranean, which are where the sirens are from. She's a siren. Duh.
he slept with her, and then he's like, damn it, Sammy, what is it with you and monsters? You are always sleeping with the monsters. And I was like, too far, Dean.
Yeah.
Too far.
Way too far.
Because werewolf girl, he didn't know she was the werewolf, and he killed her.
Yeah.
He killed her. So.
And then Ruby was, well, Ruby.
Ruby was Ruby. I mean, that you can blame Sam for. He knew that she was a demon and slept with her anyway. I get it. But I was like, oh, Sam, Dean, too.
Yeah, and then Kara, honestly, you don't know if she's a monster. I mean, yeah, all evidence is pointing to her being a monster, but again, he didn't know. And the underlying thing here is unspoken, you freak.
You got, yeah. Not only that, but also he was like, you slept with her.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, Dean didn't get to do it. Sam did it. So I'm going to hold that against Sam.
Yeah.
But yeah, freak.
Yeah.
Freak. What is it with you and monsters? You know, there's a Basic Instinct quote in there somewhere, but you know, who cares? Anytime you mention Basic Instinct, you know, it's, you know, a crazy woman or a rabbit.
This is also very much like Xander from Buffy, who's like all of his little girls and dates and stuff were monsters.
Right. Aww.
Or he always had like, yeah, because it was the praying mantis chick, and then he was a hyena, which had nothing to do with chicks, but like he did get wrapped up in monsters.
Yeah.
The mummy girl.
The mummy girl, and who's the who did he end up with? Who was like
the demon, the ex-demon,
constantly having sex with him? He just like, is powerless over her. Yes, because she just turned everything into sex, and he's like,
yes. Yeah. So that I was just like, oh, he's like Xander from Buffy, but this is like.
Little worse. So clearly Dean not trusting Sam, not trusting him.
Yeah, even says, don't come meet me. I got to do this by myself. I don't trust you. You're under the siren song. Or, I mean, there's more to it, but he's not saying that there's more to it.
Yeah,
just like,
but Sam's like, I feel fine. This isn't what it is. She's just a girl. She's not the siren. This isn't it.
Yeah.
And Dean's like, it doesn't matter. I don't trust you. I can't trust you. I'm going to do this on my own. And Sam's so mad. Like, pucks the phone. Mm-hmm. Like, hangs up, pucks the phone. And I'm like, been there. Yeah. Been there.
Yeah.
That's the one thing with flip phones is that you slam it closed and then you just skip you just smash it against the wall. So Dean calls Bobby, though, for help. Mm-hmm. So, and then he calls Nick to now go follow the doctor. Yeah. So he's got backup from Nick, who he is trusting. Mm-hmm. And he called Bobby saying, hey, I think Sam's fallen under the siren.
Under the influence, yeah. So leaves a message for Bobby. It's like, oh no, Sam needs help.
Dean and Nick are now following the doctor who's she ended up going to a bar, I think.
Yeah, she went to Lang's Cocktail Lounge. So right after she gets laid, she goes to a bar. This is a party doc, man. Because didn't she just show up hungover like that day or the day before or something?
Yes.
She's not kidding.
She's not. Hey, no regrets.
Yeah.
Although every time somebody says no regrets, I think of that commercial.
No regrets.
No regrets or something.
Oh,
where
no
they
regrets,
got a tattoo. This is no regrets.
No regrets. There's also it's a movie, and I forget what it is. It's like Jason Sudeikis and Jennifer Aniston. and they're like under the witness protection program or something, or like all four of them pretend to be a family and they're on a road trip or something. But they run into this guy who's like, yeah, no regrets, and it's like on his chest, but it's like RAGRETS. It's just some really dumb guys. It's like, no regrets, yeah, man. You know. Anyway.
Oh my God, that's no regrets.
No regrets.
So Sam and Nick are in Nick's like Crown Victoria. Sorry, Dean and Nick. I knew I was going to say the wrong name because that's what I do.
I think because you think about it too hard now, you're like, don't mess up, don't mess up,
don't mess it up. Oh, Valerie. It's like the guy with the symbols, like don't mess up, don't mess up. And he's only got one symbol. So they're passing Dean's flask back and forth while they're like basically on a watch for the doctor.
Yeah. And Nick is like trying to go through this like train of thought. He's like, okay, so you're telling me that it's all different women. They're all strippers, but actually it's not a stripper at all. It's Dr. Quinn medicine woman.
Right.
What? This sounds like crazy on toast, but you know what? Okay, fine. I'll
go with that.
I'll go with it.
Yeah. And Dean's like, thanks.
Yeah, what a relief, man. I don't have to fight with you.
Fighting me on this. Yeah. And then, he takes his flask back from Nick and takes a swig, and suddenly you see Nick's demeanor change just a little bit.
Yeah. They're discussing like, well, how could they infect the victims with injection or physical contact? Or what about saliva?
Oh, yeah. Dean, you should have wiped the lip of your flask. And it's like Dean had the recognition. He figured it out at just the wrong time. Like he figured it out just as Nick was saying it. He was like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Too late. No matter now what Nick says, Dean is under his spell. Yeah. Which I'm not sure if that's irony or what that is, but it's very funny that Dean falls under the siren song of a guy and not of a stripper chick.
Right after, Nick is just like, womp womp, I'm the siren. Then he immediately like sings his song. He's like, I'm the brother. I'm the good little brother that you've always wanted. I
should be your brother.
Yeah. We're perfect together. We're perfect partners. And I think you need to get Sam out of the way so we can go be brothers forever.
Yep. And not before us getting a glance of him as the siren in the rearview mirror. So we get to see the ugly siren again, which I was like unnecessary and actually a bad take because they tried to do the mirror of like you see two people looking in a mirror and they both turn at the same time.
Yeah, they didn't.
And they didn't sync it up. And I was like, no. Cutting room floor, baby. Cutting room floor. Just be like, bad take, not worth it. I know you spent a lot of time on the makeup. Cut it. But Dean's like, yeah, you're right. And that's all he says is, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. We should. Now, Sam enters the hotel. I don't know from where, since we last saw him there. I guess
in the ice machine.
Whatever. And he's ambushed by Nick and Dean. Sees Nick as like as the bait, as the lure. Like, hey, what are you doing here?
And
while Dean grabs him from behind
and holds a knife to his throat. And not only does Dean hold a knife to his throat, he cuts him.
When Nick gives the instructions, it's like, cut him right here. Just like, like an inch long, right here. Like, it's precise.
He does it.
Now Sam is like, huh.
Who's the siren now?
Yeah.
But I also think he realizes that he is in extreme danger because Dean is capable of killing him.
Oh, yeah.
But Sam proceeds to mock the guy, mock Nick. He's like, you know what? You are nothing but a pathetic, needy loser. If this is what you need, this is what your life is.
Yeah.
Is tricking people into liking you. How pathetic is that?
Yeah, because Nick is like, there's no better feeling than watching somebody kill for you, like have that level of love for you. And then I just get bored. I just want to fall in love over and over and over again. You get that high of the oxytocin or whatever.
Of the getting a tattoo.
Yep.
Someone's name on your chest. Yep.
Yes.
Oh, we should. So in response to Sam mocking him, Nick does this siren thing, which I could have done without seeing.
It was kind of like that dinosaur from Jurassic Park, the one that with the little fan things, that he spits at Newman,
like venomous mucus.
Yes,
Newman. He basically opens his mouth and like lifts up his tongue and gleeks like all over Sam, like projectile gleeking. And I was like, oh, A, that was disgusting, and B, it was stupid. I just thought it was so stupid. But gross. And he did actually get some in Sam, because now we see Sam, his demeanor change a little bit. And even Nick, the siren guy, like takes Dean's hand away from Sam's throat, takes the knife away, and it's like, okay, now that we're both all on the same page.
Yeah. Why don't you fight over me?
Yeah. Have a little talk. Yeah. And whoever survives gets to have me forever, which is the signature line of the siren. You get to be with me forever.
Yes.
And Nick just kind of steps back and lets Sam and Dean
go
fight it out.
It is harsh.
It starts out with just words.
Dean is going for like, the Sam I knew is gone. You have too many lies and secrets. You're hiding all this stuff from me. It's not just about your demon blood infection or your freakness or Ruby.
Ruby. Yep.
It's, you're lying to me. You're keeping things from me. We're on a different page. Sam is like, you're weak. You're holding me back. I'm the stronger one, and you just whine about your torture time in hell. Sam was cold.
Yeah. I'm a better hunter than you. I'm stronger than you. And all you can do is whine about the souls you tortured in hell. Wow. Cry me a river. And then that turns into, like, that's
physical fight.
Yeah. Gloves are off. And then the boys have this epic fight. I mean, we've seen them fight before. We've seen the 1 punch, 2 punch, type of thing. This is not it.
No.
They want to kill each other.
They burst through the door. Dean has Sammy on his back now, and like Sam's taken out. Like he's like, that was the one. And then Dean goes straight for the, in case of emergency, axe that's on the
fire
wall.
Axe. Yes. Jeez.
And he stops there, and that's when Nick is just like, all right, do it. Deal the final blow.
Yeah. And Dean goes to do it. So Sam's on his back, out of breath, and is like raising his hands like, please don't.
Yeah.
But Dean raises the axe and goes to take the final death blow. And just at the last second, Bobby swoops in, grabs the axe, stabs Dean in the back with, I'm assuming, a bronze sword or a bronze dagger. And then proceeds to, the siren is like, oh no, a bronze dagger.
Yeah.
And starts to run, and Bobby just, flings the dagger at the siren and stabs him in the back. So the siren's been stabbed with blood from a sailor with the infected blood.
Yes.
Sam during this actually says no.
Yeah.
Like, don't kill the siren.
No, don't kill him. I love him.
Yeah,
basically. Be for him forever.
And the siren dies, but not before pathetically sliding down a wall and seeing his face in the mirror one more time, watching himself die. I was like, again, God, that was stupid.
See, I think it would have been cool if he turned into his real form when he died. I thought that would have been a cool thing. But I don't think you said it was like about makeup. I don't think that any of that was makeup. I think that was all CG.
Oh, well, I just meant they didn't want to waste the effect, is what I meant.
Right, but I think that was all.
You don't think that was makeup?
No, I think it was all CG. I think it was all a green screen suit. At least that's how it looked on my TV. It looked very obviously digital.
CG. Oh, okay. Because that first shot of in the mirror shot. Now it was because it was dark, firelight and stuff like that. I thought it looked very makeup-y, but. And I was impressed by that. I was impressed by that level.
I would have been impressed by it if it were makeup, but I'm
okay.
I'm fairly certain it was not.
I just thought the shot was stupid. That it literally was like all was missing was the sound of him like sliding down the wall, like Yeah, exactly. Because he like gets to see himself one more time in the mirror, you know, as himself, and then he dies.
Yeah. Now our epilogue scene. They're outside near a bridge, a different bridge, a very schmancy bridge for.
It is. It's a nice. What do
Bedford,
they call it?
Iowa.
A suspension bridge. I think that's what they're called. Yeah.
And he offers the boys a soda.
Soda. Dean's like, what the? What's with the soda?
This was Jim Beaver's idea.
Really?
I remember reading about it when I was looking into his foreign language skills, you know, when he was speaking Japanese in that one episode.
Right.
Within that same interview of one of those things I read, they were talking about this scene. He's like, it's funny that you offered them like soda pop. And he's like, yeah, I really didn't want to portray like the boys drinking and driving because they go off and drive after that.
Yeah.
So he was the one that kind of pushed for him to give out soda.
Beer. Because we have seen them sitting on the side of the road with beers, but we don't see them ever get back in the car after having had their beers.
Yeah, so because like after Yellow Fever, I think they were like Bobby was there, and I think they were all drinking beer.
Yeah,
or at least the two boys were. I don't think maybe he wasn't, since he does drive well. That's a very common scene. Is them at the end of the day, both in their the cars, and then Bobby gets in the car and drives away, and we were left with the boys. But no, I just thought that was cute and considerate of Jim Beaver to be like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Glorify drinking and driving. So I was like, good for you.
Yeah. And it was also, you know, it compounds the fact that they were just under, you know, a siren song, under the influence of something that affects how you filter and how you speak. So maybe it's best to not
just be sober for a minute, you know.
Exactly. And it was cute that it was soda. And you know what's funny is the boys still drink the soda. Yeah. You know, they were like, soda. Yeah. They're like, oh, all right, well, this is what we have. And so they're sipping pop, which I said I don't say. You know, they do the, you know, everything okay? Are we good? Are we good? Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good. Clearly they're not. You know, Sam tries to say that all those things I said was the siren. It wasn't me. I don't feel that way. I don't think you're weak, which nobody's buying.
Yeah, this is like toxic masculinity at its best. You know, like, nope, we're just going to harbor all of that, suppress all of that inside and not talk about it.
Yeah, we are going to use it later, though, because, nothing like, you know, pulling that out in an inopportune moment to throw in someone's face.
Yep.
But having left that part of the conversation off, since they're not going to talk about what happened in the room, Dean goes, so you gonna go and say goodbye to Kara, you know, since you guys and Sam shockingly says no. He's like,
no.
what's the point? And I was like, ooh, slight change in Sam's character
again.
I mean, he's right.
Cold. Yeah,
I mean, he's right, though.
I think they would have been on the same page there. Like, Kara probably wouldn't have said goodbye if she was leaving, you know?
Right. Especially if she was, like, back at the bar. She wasn't at home pining for Sam. She was out doing her thing.
On the trail again.
Yep. And we forgot to mention that, as it turns out, Carl, I think, had a heart attack and died.
Oh, yeah. That was one of the
it was like a little
her husband
side.
Dropped dead out of nowhere.
So I didn't want people to think that she killed him and then went after Sam. So
yes,
that was not it. But
it was a heart attack.
Love him and leave him. And I was like, okay, that's definitely a change for Sam.
Yeah,
and that's how that episode ends. Clearly, some unresolved issues that they've brought to the forefront for us.
Yeah, there was another episode like that. I think it was in the first season. Honestly, when it was in the asylum one, when the ghost kept like possessing them, you know, for a minute, or like manipulating their minds, and then they would. I think maybe Sam shot Dean, or Dean shot Sam. I don't remember, but
Sam shot Dean.
Yeah, there were some truths coming out of that too.
It won't kill me, but it'll hurt like hell. Blam. That one.
Yes.
So yeah, you would think the boys would know, the brothers would know each other's feelings at this point in life, you know, how they feel about each other, the good, the bad, the weak, the strong, you know, but unborn truth and unwitting truth, something they don't want to face about the other one. They don't want to know certain aspects of their brother.
Mm-hmm.
It breaks my heart. I almost went and watched another episode after this because I was like, okay.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I kept going. Yeah.
Going? Oh. Because I was like, I don't remember this episode at all. Like, this was a new episode for me. This was a new episode for me.
Oh, no. This one I remembered very well. I remembered the twist, the siren twist, which, by the way, notes on that. I did like the twist. I liked the twist that the siren ended up being the guy, the buddy, the putty cop kind of thing with Dean.
Yeah, the perfect brother. Yeah.
However, they leaned way too hard into
Kara.
Into pinpointing. She used the siren. Look at how like sex forward she is. Look at the flowers.
It was too obvious.
The blue blop. Yeah, it was just too many things that they were trying way too hard to get us to suspect her. Which made me not suspect her at all.
Her. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I was the exact same way. I was like, it can't be her because they're trying too hard. Yeah. I was like, them waving their hand over here, but it's actually this thing over here. I was like, okay, I see your hand waving. Let's go to the other thing.
Yeah. And I remember thinking that too when I first saw it. I was just like, it's definitely not the doctor. Like,
right? Exactly. I didn't immediately think it was Nick. At least I didn't do that, but I did lean into it, sooner than like I figured it out before Dean did.
Yes. Yes. And it was nice that, oh, look, the siren it doesn't always have to be a woman.
Yep. And it wasn't.
It's not always femme fatale. It's not always that. Yep.
But again, it's funny that for Dean.
Yeah, that it wasn't a woman. For all people of who it could have been a beautiful stripper.
Yep. But you got to ask yourself, like, who is the most important person in Dean's life? And it's Sam. So how do you manipulate Dean? You put Sam in danger.
Yep, that's what they all do. All the demons do it. They go for the brothers. They're the family.
That's what they say. They're the weakness. Having family is their weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what they cry about all the time.
Yes.
And of course, I fall for it every time. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Family.
Also, thoughts on Sam's personality changes, making very large strides here. Going in the way of Dark Side Sammy, which was something they alluded to a season and a half ago.
Yep. Yeah. Because he is very clearly lying to Dean. He is very openly accepting things that Ruby is telling him to do, based on their chummy phone calls, and where does he get the idea? Where does he get the notion that he's the stronger hunter, that he's the better hunter? Is it because he's been training and doing things that we don't know about?
Yeah, because he says even under the siren spell, I've been like ganking demons like way stronger than you could even imagine, or like he does say something like, I have been destroying demons. Yeah.
Yep.
Doesn't really say how. He just says like, I've been
doing this while you've been crying in your beer, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was like, whoa. The difference between regular Dean and Siren Dean, not all that much, to be honest. Like, I feel like Dean would argue in that way, even not under some sort of supernatural influence.
Right. He's saying the same things he's always said.
Yes.
You're lying
Sam,
to
however,
me.
I was just like, wow, I could not imagine
those words coming out of his mouth.
Sam saying things in that way, with that tone, and so heartless.
With that swagger and with that certainty and confidence.
Yeah. Is this like some sort of like suppressed that he's been like holding this in even as a kid, always living under Dean's shadow? Is that like.
Right. Oh, yeah. But sometimes, I mean,
something else?
I was going to say sometimes there's comfort in having the big brother, be the protector. But yeah, it's a definite switch. It's not just the sex them and leave them. It's everything.
Yeah, but then that was another layer to it. It was just like, I also couldn't imagine Even with that woman, even with Hot Doc.
Just being like, yeah, because he could have been like, thanks,
Yeah.
It was fun. Hope hope your hangover gets better.
Yeah.
You know?
So those are my thoughts. I really liked that episode. I liked the twist, even though they tried way too hard to point away from it.
Yeah.
Even though Sam's changes were drastic, I do like that they're finally getting to that.
Yeah, it was good. I thought it was fun to see Dean, kind of chumming it up with Nick.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun.
Nick Monroe, not a Disney prince, by the way.
But we forgot to mention that Bobby was like, how did you not know that Nick was the siren? Bobby was like, all you had to do was make one phone call. I mean, and Nick showed you, he made a phone call. All you had to do was make your own phone call.
Yeah, and realize that he is not a real person, not a real agent.
Yeah. Yeah. So that I thought was a good twist, so to speak.
A good idiot.
Good idiot moment. And I also love that Bobby, he came to the rescue not only with intelligence and information, but he was strong enough in that moment to stop Dean from physically killing Sam.
Yeah.
And, they don't always give Bobby credit for being a strong man.
Yeah.
He's just always this old, dumpy, not drunken, but, drinker.
Yeah.
Guy. And this time he was like, he swung to the rescue.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to give him props for that.
Next episode is Death Takes a Holiday, which that one was the one I was like, new episode to me.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I keep
a little bit. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Please remember to subscribe. Please remember to subscribe and or follow us anywhere that you can find podcasts. If you could give us a review on Apple Podcasts too, that would be great. We would love that. If you want to share these episodes with other Supernatural fans, again, we would love that. There are all these things that we would love.
We're very needy, but we're lovely people, and you should want to do things for us. I want to do a little shout out of my own. One of our biggest fans is Jack Cross.
Yes, and, the car guy.
Yes, the car guy who now has his own IMDb page. So I'm excited about that.
We're IMDb friends.
Yes. So I just want to say thanks, Jack. Good luck with your films. It looks like you're getting some stuff, even though right now I think you're driving somewhere to pick up a bumper for your car. But he said he was going to listen to the podcast while he was driving. So be like Jack.
Oh wait, is he
podcast?
Is he a stunt guy?
Yep.
Ooh.
It's one of the things he does. Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. So thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thank you. You can also find us on social media. We are at Salsa and Burn This everywhere. We're also on YouTube, meaning our episodes are on YouTube, so you can listen to us through there if that's how you prefer. There's lots of ways to listen to us and find us and interact with us and listen to salsa music at the same time. I don't know if you can hear that in your on your end.
No, I can hear the beat. Yep.
So with that, I'm going to say goodbye because I think there's a festival going on outside. So.
Oh my gosh! All right, well you should go. Thank you, Sami. I'm glad we got to do this. This was fun. This was a lot of fun today. I needed this.
Yes, me too. And thank you all for listening. And we will see you next time for Death Takes a Holiday. Bye.
Bye.